everyone, this is just a video I'm doing about Magic the Gathering. It's something that I've kind of wanted to always do a video just talking about because, you know, there's lots of other videos on YouTube where people talk about Magic, but I don't see a lot of people talking about Magic from a more casual perspective, because that's where I'm coming from. I'm a strictly casual Magic player. If I'm gonna play in like a game store, it's gonna be limited. But then I don't do like standard, constructed, or modern, or any of the formats. I think, fuck that noise, it's stupid. Because I like playing with my friends, and I like playing where we can just bring whatever decks we want to bring, and in terms of what's banned or not allowed or whatever, or what's considered too powerful or whatever, you know, that just self-polices. And this is a thing where a lot of criticisms of the game have to do with things like power creep. And I totally think those are valid criticisms. And one of the ways to combat that and to keep the game fun is to basically create your own format where you set up your own limits. And what it does is it allows for more space in what's playable or viable, and then you have more opportunity to really do the building and the brewing, and you get to do it in a way that's, you know, a lot more free, a lot more fun. And in that sense, the Magic I play is a totally different game from what people talk about on the internet when they talk about Magic. Now, Magic has not been immune to the SJW co-opting of the hobby. It seems like that's affected everything, you know, comics, tabletop. There was Metalgate at some point. I'm not sure what really came of that. I don't think anything. I don't know. I don't even remember what started that. That was like a weird thing. But anyway, the quartering, obviously, Jeremy's channel, he talks about that a lot. I think he's actually had a couple of conversations with Sargon too, where they go into that stuff. But all that being said, you know, Magic the Gathering is going to be around forever. It's an immortal game, basically. And it's because the way that they conceived of it and the way that it's balanced and what it is, it's... I remember somebody wrote an article basically proposing the thought experiment of, you know, on another timeline, if Magic was recreated, would the colors be the same? And there's a pretty strong case to be made that, yeah, they would. And it's a really cool philosophy where each of the colors have personalities, they have good and bad aspects in them, and then each of the combinations also bring that to the table as well. And a lot of times you can see Magic kind of as a language, like each card is a word, and they express those concepts in a lot of really, really interesting and really elegant ways sometimes. So regardless of whether or not I'm actively playing the game, I always love to follow the spoilers. It's always really fun to see what they're doing with it, because, you know, sometimes they come up with some really cool stuff. And of course Ravnica it's kind of a favorite of everybody's, I think. I don't know, I like all of the sets. Like, I like that they're different. I like that they do different stuff all the time. But yeah, so these new spoilers are coming out, and then I was feeling kind of sad because I don't have any of my cards. I didn't bring any of them with me. It's too much shit to carry. I left it with a friend. But now I kind of want to start playing again, maybe. Just a little bit of limited. I don't want to get carried away with it. But I think it would be a lot of fun to go to a limited event, so I'm thinking about doing that at the end of this month. So today I went and found a local game store, because it's kind of hard to find things in Hong Kong sometimes, so I decided to make like a trial run to go and like check one of them out and make sure I could find it, and I did manage to find it, and it seemed pretty cool. I love it when they have everything really sorted out well for you. Not all game stores will sort through all the different kinds of singles and then put them in containers that make it easy to find what you're looking for. Specifically the card I wanted to find, after I was like looking through some of the cards, I thought, oh shit, I never made the Spy Kids deck. I wanted to make a Spy Kit deck, and I wanted it to also be a flavor deck based on the Spy Kids movie. So it's like 4 Spy Kids, at least 1 trusty machete, just for flavor. And then my plan was to play it with Retraced Image. And then I thought, I wonder if that works. So I decided to Google it and see what other people kind of proposed putting into a spy kit deck. And it seems like white has a lot of like really, really dank, crazy options with it, like Cornered Market and Winnow especially, and like Declaration and Stone. Like that's ridiculous. But Retraced Image, that's the one I like. I wanted to make it, yeah, basically like themed after the movie, and I'm not sure what else to put in it to make it fit that flavor, but obviously whatever you're gonna put the spy kit on is going to be some cheap creature with like really high toughness and like some kind of like hexproof or indestructible or something gay like that. I don't know, whatever. But I also wanted to talk about a few of my favorite decks because, you know, like I said, I have an approach to the game that's very, very kitchen sinky, and they're you know, it's fun to make decks like that aren't super cutthroat. So one of them is actually a Guided Passage deck with Biovisionary. So with Guided Passage, you hand your library to one of your opponents, and then they choose a creature card, a non-land, non-creature card, and a land card, right? So 3 different card types. And basically, you build this deck in such a way that it's so redundant that no matter what they give you, they're giving you a Biovisionary. You could play it where the only creature in the deck is Biovisionary, but I play it with a lot of cloning effects. So maybe I have some clones in there, some Cackling Counterpart, Drift of Phantasms to tutor up a Biovisionary, and then, you know, land is the fucking land, just take the land, it's fine. So basically, that's the deck. So then the issue is, of course, I don't build it with any like draw spells or any counter magic or anything like that, but I do use like Archaeomancer and like Mnemonic Wall. That way, if they give me that and I play it, I can use it to get back the Guided Passage, and then and then I use 2 Guided Passages in the deck. So maybe you'll cast a Guided Passage and they'll look through your deck and they'll roll their eyes when they realize what your stupid fucking plan is, and then they're like, okay, fine, have this like this Drift of Phantasms and this basic island and another Guided Passage. Like they don't know what to do. So it's a really fun deck. It's really kind of a trolly deck, but it's kind of a piece of shit. So I like winning with janky, stupid combo decks, or like you win the game style effects when the deck is shitty. If your deck is really, really good and you win with something like that, then it feels like cheating, and like it makes people like they don't feel good about it. But if you pull off something like that, like fucking Biovisionary deck with Guided Passage, I feel like every single time I've won a game with that deck, I totally earned it. Even though that deck's just a pile of garbage, my friends absolutely fucking hate it. It's like the worst deck ever. Another one I love though is my Primal Surge deck. So with Primal Surge, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land, non-creature, or non-permanent card. And you can put the permanent onto the battlefield and then repeat the process. A lot of people like to play it with Laboratory Maniac, and then shit that makes them draw cards when they come into play. Fuck that noise. That's some basic bitch shit. Fuck Laboratory Maniac combos. No, I play that shit with all of the defenders, the ones that make you mana. So there's 3 different ways I see making this deck. You could go mono green, and of course you use like Wall of Vines, Wall of Mulch, Wall of Roots, Axebane Guardian, Overgrown Battlement. Overgrown Battlement and Axebane Guardian are basically like the heart of the deck because they give you all the mana. That's how you get to 10 mana. That's how you get to Primal Surge. So I used to play the deck where like literally Primal Surge was the thing, but you have to have some sort of way to make your walls able to win, you know, on their own. So I have to use Assault Formation, Colossus of Akros, I think. That's another one, another like big fat defender that you can turn into like a 20/20 and then swing with or whatever. But if you splash colors, there's a couple of other really interesting options you can do. I like adding white so that I can also run Wall of Omens. Because since I can't play like any spells that draw me cards, the walls that come into play and draw you a card are really good. If you're going like mono green, then like the Sylvan Caryatid, like that's not bad either as like Wall of Roots, you know, 5 through 8 if you want to go that high. But then the other card that's really, really great, that they spoiled recently, that I was going to pick up one copy of just to toss into a new 3-colored, Bant-colored version of the deck, was the Arcades Strategist, the Elder Dragon in those colors, because it literally was made for that deck. And with this deck, you can really put as many colors as you want, because Axebane Guardian, it lets you be so fucking greedy. So the final version of the deck, as I perceive it, is fucking splash blue, so you can run that Elder Dragon and then put in some Wall of Denial. Could you imagine you have these like flying hexproof walls that swing for like 8 damage? That's good shit. Oh wait, no, they have Shroud, so I guess you can't like assault formation with them. But anyway, like fucking 8 damage when it blocks, or at least, and you flash that shit in or whatever the hell. Can you flash those in? I think Plumeveil has flash. I don't think Wall of Denial does though. Doesn't need it. Does not. 0% does it need that. Anyway, that's that deck, the Primal Surge deck. I've actually had times when I've pulled off the Primal Surge, but because like my opponent had something even crazier on the battlefield, like I didn't even win. The other thing too is when you have a bunch of shit that draws when it enters the battlefield, and then you start to Primal Surge out, you have to realize like you have to count your draw triggers and make sure that you don't accidentally mill yourself out. Like I think I've done that on accident too, right? I kill myself on accident with the Primal Surge. Good times. What else? My other favorite deck is I don't usually like tribal decks, but I love witches. I think witches are the coolest thing ever. And, you know, they had printed these super cheesy cards like Festering Newt, Bubbling Cauldron, and then whatever that rare Bogbrew Witch. So I was like, cool, I'm going to play all these, and then I'm going to make a flavorful witches deck. And I play it with, I toss in the Exquisite Blood, Sanguine Bond combo, just like one of each, just, you know, just to have it in there so I can win that way if I need to. But the Festering Newt Bubbling Cauldron synergy is really, really good if you're playing in like a multiplayer game. It can be really, really abusive. And then there's the Rakdos, that cackler, that little devil that's the red-white hybrid with Unleash. So you can play it as like a 2/2 or a 1/1. You know, I like those. I think that's a good kind of witchy sort of flavor too. And then Toil and Trouble. You know, so I definitely splash red just so you can play Toil and Trouble. You have to. And then Measure of Wickedness is actually really, really good in this deck too, because the Bubbling Cauldrons give you this opportunity to sacrifice creatures, so that if your opponent tries anything, you know, tries to do something to pass back the Measure of Wickedness to you, you can just use that to give it back to them. And it has wicked in the name, so it's, you know, witches. The point is witches. The fucking point is witches. I threw in like one Exava just because witches. I like that deck because it's not really any archetype. Like I tossed in like one little combo, but that's not really the point. It's not really a control deck. It's not really an aggro deck. It kind of like wants to be all three of them. So that's always a really fun deck to play. Yeah, so I haven't really looked up how they're doing the limited pre-release for this new one. I'm assuming they're doing it like they did the last one, where you like pick a guild and then you have like a few boosters, like 5 boosters that are like the normal set, and then one that's like seeded for the guild. And if you get to pick your guild, I don't know what I would pick actually. I like the blue guilds. But I think Selesnya looks really, really good, especially that fucking mythic they got, that the basically Selesnya colored version of Sphinx's Revelation. Stupid as hell. Like I almost don't even want to play this set just because I don't want to like have that card played against me. It just like seems way too good. And then the Izzet is always like the funniest one, with like flavor wise. A lot of people are crossing their fingers that Counterburn is going to be a thing. I really like the Split Izzet card that has, it's like a double switcheroo on one side, but then on the other side, it's like a blaze, but you can also force someone to draw cards. And like, you know, when they have a card that says target player draws so many cards, you know the point of it is they want mill to be a viable strategy. And I love killing people by mill. That's the best way to win the game ever, I think. Yeah, I really love the split cards. Those are my favorite. I was a little bit bummed when they changed the ruling on how they work, because I used to love to make decks where you would cascade into the cheap half of the card and then cast the more expensive one. Like, I made a birds deck based on Beck and Call, which is like not even that good. Like cascading into Beck so you can cast Call, it's like, ooh, I got a bunch of birds, like but it was fun. It was this fun like 4-color, really heavily cascadey deck. I'd use Primal Growth because fuck it, you play like Squadron Hawk, right? So you cascade, maybe you hit your Squadron Hawks, right? And then you pull them all out of your deck so they stop fucking up your cascade, and then you sacrifice those fuckers to the Primal Growth so that you can get more lands. You use the lands to cast big spells. Big stuff, like your big cascadey shit, like your Enlisted Worms and that kind of garbage. So I really love that deck. And then I toss in Dovescape by the end of it, because when you cascade while Dovestep's in play, like, your cascade still triggers, but all your spells turn into birds. So wee. That's one of my favorite decks too, is the birds deck. What else? I did make the Opalescence deck, but like everybody fucking knows the Opalescence deck. That shit's oppressive. I stopped playing with the deck because I think it's a little too good for our kitchen sink. Because, you know, you just sit there playing like your Journey to Nowheres and your Oblivion Rings and shit like that. Even like Banishing Light works, that's fine. So you sit there just shutting everything down, and then, ooh, Opalescence, bam, just swinging with my Oblivion Rings. You know, I think it's too good. And then you have, not Parallax Tide, the other one, the white one. The white one with fading, and you can remove the fading counters from it in order to exile things, and then you use the last one to exile itself, right? And then that brings itself back into play with the counters. So you can create an infinite combo that way that just, like, you know, like I said, just shuts their shit down. That deck is really good. And mono white too, so I don't even need anything fancy. Just fucking use planes. Just use planes, you know? God, I think the other thing I want to talk about, oh my god, that removal spell, that Golgari removal spell that they spoiled, Assassin's Trophy? Too good. Holy shit, that's too good. Like, why? My favorite thing about it, though, is that they search for a basic land, and this was something one of my friends had pointed out to me, is like in Modern, I guess, like so many of the decks are so greedy with their mana bases that when you like path to exile them, like they'll fail to find a land, so they don't even get a land, so it's like better than Swords of Plowshares. And I'm just like imagining that happening with this new card, especially because now that the shock lands are going to be back, everybody's like losing their shit, right? Everybody's like, oh my god, now I can make a 4-color deck. I really hope they get punished with the Assassin's Trophy. Alright, those are all the thoughts I had. I thought it'd just be fun to make kind of a lighthearted video. I guess the thing that's really cool about Magic, though, is like, it is immortal, and I'm not worried about the game because, you know, the SJWs could control it for 20 years and they're not going to ruin it. It's impossible. Nothing changes Magic's history. Nothing can change what's already in the past, you know, and the thing that people always forget, and really the point of this video is just, I want to make the statement that you don't have to play in the formats. Like, you can make your own thing. Magic can be whatever domain you want it to be in, and you don't need super good cards to make the game fun. It doesn't have to be an expensive hobby where you spend all your money to get all of the best things. You can, you know, depending on who you're playing with, like, you can just create decks that are at a power level appropriate to that environment. So that's all I wanted to say. Hope you guys have a good day, and peace.